Runs on the board for RCB and runs of the bat of Rajat Patidar, who has arguably played one of the great playoff innings of all time. Perhaps RCB's most significant innings in a playoff as well, as he scores 112 of the 207 that Bangalore managed on a day where Kohli, Maxwell and Faf du Plessis did not fire. It was the Rajat Patidar show at the Eden Gardens. Will it be enough? It's certainly more than what the Rajasthan Royals got yesterday. We shall ask those questions, look back at the Lucknow Super Giants innings where Mohsin Khan stood out, but you could say they had their shabbiest 20 overs in the field. Sanjay Manjrekar and Daniel Vettori on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Q9 5G. Let's ask the former RCB captain and coach if he would be happy with 207 at halftime. Would you?
I would be very happy. I think particularly where the runs came from, as you said, the three big guys didn't fire. But to be fair to Patidar, I mean, he's been like this since he came back into the team. He's been fearless, and now he got on a surface that just allowed him to keep going and going and going, and the size of the boundaries as well. So he came out from ball one and took all the pressure off every other batsman because he just prepared to play shots. And that over off Krunal Pandya got everything going. That was a starting point because Pandya was bowling well, and some of those shots were exceptional in terms of his ability to find where the fielder wasn't, and they kept swapping and changing the fielders, but he was still able to find those gaps. So I thought that was symptomatic of him. Not only was it great hitting, it was clever hitting as well.
And it went on for so long. The over he talks about, Sanjay, that crucial final over of the power play. Score was 32 for 1 at that stage. We're going to spend a lot of time on Patidar. Then we'll come to the rest of the compliment. But take me through your appreciation. I can only imagine it would have only grown the more you saw Patidar in this innings.
And as Dan said, this is not something that's a flash in the pan. It's not suddenly something that we've seen today. Those signs were there earlier in the season and last season as well. In a couple of matches, he showed that he has something there. I was immediately, watching these kind of innings makes you emotional, you get excited. I called up Chandrakant Pandit, who was MP coach, and Rajat Patidar has grassroots connections with Madhya Pradesh. And Chandrakant Pandit said that 2 years back, they were going to drop him from Madhya Pradesh, and Pandit, being a good student of the game, advised them against it. And even at the time, he said that this guy is an India prospect. What he loves about him is the time that he has with his footwork. He's always been a power hitter, it tells me. And today, really, your heart goes out to him, firstly, for what he's done. And we'll come to the brass tacks of the innings. But again, it shows the kind of talent this country has. 10 teams, everyone's skeptical about the quality of IPL. We saw, Mohsin Khan there, raising the bar with his bowling, and then Patidar doing all this. So it's not just the icons raising the quality of the IPL. It's these lesser known, phenomenal talents that we're seeing in India.
What a story this is, right? Came in as a replacement player, not retained by RCB. We can't stress on that enough because this is so unique in itself. There are players that play a whole season and come good in a playoff, and you think, wow, this uncapped player has been a find for them. Patidar wasn't good enough to be either got at the auction or retained or shown interest from last year. And he's played this kind of innings when Kohli, Faf, Maxwell have all gone down. I mean, does this only add to the almost remarkability of this story? I can't think of another player like this.
It is exceptional. I think, 9 other franchises passed him as well, but you would have thought RCB knew him and knew him well, and you would have thought that they would have known his performances were good enough to have as a backup batsman at least. But good on him for not giving up on his dream to actually come back into the side and then to be selected, and then more than anything to play the way he's played. I think there's a lot going on in that team as always because of the big stars. There's a lot of focus on them and what they're doing. But he just went about his innings in every game he's played, and he's taken pressure off batsmen because he's been so aggressive. He's taken the game on fast bowlers, spinners, any type of bowler, and he doesn't look rattled at all. There's barely any emotion. It was the first time we've seen his face because he took his helmet off. So it's incredible that he's just hidden in all these stars. But today he was the star.
I would like to talk about the stars, Sanjay, because we have to talk about the Kohli factor. And it's not a positive one because there was an immense amount of pressure put on him. Faf's wicket, Kohli, you could see deliberately going at a run or ball or just not playing the big shot. So it was on Patidar at that time to play the big shots. Just take me through that phase of the game because it perhaps was the most pivotal, as Dan said.
Yeah, the turning point was the sixth over because we had a similar situation in the last playoff. If you remember when Sai Kishore came into bowled 4 overs on the trot, the last over went for 18. But the 3 overs before that, you could see the two batters weren't willing to take him on. And that sort of played into the hands of Gujarat Titans a little. Today, because of Patidar's presence, that plan was completely messed up because that was the right time to get Krunal Pandya in because the thinking is new batter in, young player in. Virat Kohli will now try and play the anchor role. So let's get our left arm spinner in. And he messed up their plans. And this is where really, players add value when they just spoil the plans of the opposition by doing something different, taking a few risks. While Virat Kohli was going at to run a ball around the same number of balls, this guy was going at a strike rate of 200. So it tells you the kind of impact and the value that he's added. And if Bangalore go on to win this, it's not just the remarkable talent, but it's just the willingness to put yourself on the line, even at the cost of losing the wicket. And that is the quality that I admire the most in players when they're willing to put themselves on the line for the greater good.
Is that a quality which comes easier to these less star players, the ones without baggage, whereas the other guys,
Good
the
question.
alphas, tend to say, it's a big final. I need to bat 18 overs if I'm Josh Butler, if I'm Virat Kohli, if I'm KL Rahul. Patidar doesn't think like that.
No, and I think that's how you should try to set the team up, that you have 6 to 7 free-flowing batsmen who, irrespective of the situation, are prepared to push and push hard. And particularly on a surface like this, on an outfield like this, you understand right from the start that you need 200 runs to be competitive. And so Patidar gave them that option. And I think the way he plays is obviously fearless, and you hope that he can continue on with that. You hope that that's the style because, I mean, Ian Bishop always talks about the 20 off 7 or the 20 off 8 is far more valuable than the 30 off 24 or whatever it is because it sets the game up. It sets it up for other players. When it's your day like today for Patidar, then he may be able to go on. But if you keep getting the 20s off 10s or the 20s off 8s, it allows the other batsman or your partner to get going. And when it is your day, then it can be something special. And it was Patidar's day today.
I'd like to also just get a comment from you before I go to Sanjay again on the length of this innings now. Because is it a special or a unique or really challenging ability to go hot, cold and then hot as an innings goes on? I think there's a period of play in the middle where they lost Lomror, where suddenly then you're going at a 6 and over. Patidar hasn't got much strike. Then you've seen another big 20, 25 run over. You see him carry on with the big finish. He's not ended with a 30 of 60. He's ended with 112 of, 54 balls. Is that perhaps even harder to get from a player of Patidar's?
Well, I suppose it shows a maturity in him as a batter, and he understands the cadence of an innings, and it allows him to come and go, to understand what's happening at the other end, to acknowledge what his partner's doing, when he needs to pick up the pace or when he can step back when DK came in. And I think you still have to give a little bit of credit to Lucknow. They fought back with those critical wickets, and if they'd taken their catches, they may be in this game. But I think let's not take anything away from Patidar and his not only his understanding of the innings, but understanding of how to bat in a partnership.
All right. Sanjay, anything to add to that?
Just the fact that, as you mentioned, lesser names are able to play in this fashion. I was watching Virat Kohli especially because I was against this huge sort of wave that had come about after his last innings, saying Virat Kohli is back in form. And I kept saying, after 14 innings, you've had one good innings, impact innings, but that doesn't bring a player back into form. Form is when you can carry on, from one innings and then you're back to Virat Kohli of the old. And today, again, we saw the Virat Kohli of the most of the IPL. And there was that dangerous trap that Bangalore was falling into. And once again, young Patidar saved them. Because once you see a guy going in that kind of a strike rate, somehow it's always the bigger or the senior partner who sort of goes into the shell and starts scoring at a run a ball. KL Rahul does that very often with somebody like a Quinton de Kock in company. Last game when they got 200 runs, they almost lost the game because here's Quinton de Kock going at a strike rate of 240 and Rahul finished at 130. He used to do with Mayank Agarwal as well. So I'm actually quite certain that when somebody goes into the shell deliberately because the partner is blazing away, is doing a little bit of a disservice. And Virat Kohli was about to do that. Fortunately for Bangalore, his innings was cut short and Patidar had the stage for himself. And another thing I was worried about is it could be an innings of just one batter flourishing. And would that be enough on a venue where, you'll get a big score in? But Dinesh Karthik's innings may have just helped Bangalore get a winning score. If it was just Patidar, a great IPL innings, tremendous inning, may not just have been enough for Bangalore because this is a high scoring venue. Dinesh Karthik's contribution towards the end may have just changed that for Bangalore.
I mean, when two batters are going strong, it just seems impossible to defend boundaries. It perhaps tells us something at the Eden Gardens that you don't need to necessarily wait till the 15th over for both batters to go hard.
And I suppose that's the only bit of comfort for Lucknow, that this total might not be unattainable because of the nature of the surface. And I think you're right. You've just got to go in these situations because the wicket was so good. And what that does, it puts so much pressure on the bowlers. And this Lucknow bowling attack that we've praised the whole time missed a lot, apart from Mohsin Khan. So there's a lot of bowlers and there's a lot of big overs out there. The Bishnoi over, the Krunal Pandya over. So this is a sort of ground where a 20-run over is available to batsmen who are going hard, who are prepared to take on the whole over, not just one or two balls, and try and work a single.
Let's have a quick word on the Lucknow bowling before we move on. Chase is going to begin any minute now, but what did Mohsin Khan get right? The rest of the Lucknow bowlers didn't.
Well, at the start, he bowled with pace and he bowled the right areas, and that's what we've seen from Mohsin Khan in the power play. He's been almost unhittable, and we're talking about Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli, good players, and they looked unsettled against him. And then he flipped into, I'm going to bowl slower balls and I'm going to bowl wide of the stumps and I'm going to keep batsmen guessing about what I'm going to bowl. So we're seeing a Mohsin Khan who can't make the team at the start of the season to actually working out how to bowl on one of the toughest surfaces in world cricket.
Sanjay?
Yeah, nothing more to add, really. I mean, I said that earlier as well. If the 10-team IPL has looked so good, it's because of people like Mohsin Khan, the Yash Dayal as well. Umran Malik has set the stage on fire. And there's Mukesh Chaudhary for CSK. They were brilliant. Slightly disappointed with Avesh Khan, not the way he bowled, but I don't like this tactic. I don't know how Dan thinks about it. But that tactic of bowling outside the off stump with a field set on the offside, I don't like it at all. Because when you miss it, either you get an edge or you don't get out. I love the Yorker in the stumps because when you miss it, at least you've got a wicket for it.
What's the way to bowl here? Because Mohsin Khan seems to have this ball, and yet Chamira's gone at 13.5, Avesh 11s, Bishnoi and Prunal would be saying a couple of catches could have gone our way, but what is the way to bowl at the Eden Gardens now from what you've seen?
Well, to Sanjay's point, I don't think you can be predictable. So it might be a one-ball plan, it might be a two-ball plan that you bowl to a certain field and then you've got to change again, because as soon as a batsman gets set or gets a feel for what you're going to do, then you have to be absolutely perfect with the execution. Otherwise, the ball flies off for a nick, or if you miss again, it goes straight back over your head for 6. So it's about execution, but I think it's having constantly evolving plans.
Okay, we will see if RCB's rather, could say, varied bowling attack, Hazelwood, Siraj is back, Harshal Patel, Hasaranga, if they are to test LSG in ways
Maxwell.
that LSG didn't test RCB. Yes, there's Glenn Maxwell as well. Prediction time. You think that now number 3 and 4 might have to bat for Lucknow? Yeah.
If they don't, that'll be a good sign for LSG. I actually think how Siraj bowls will be the defining thing, because I think the other 3 bowlers that you mentioned will bowl well on this. But if Siraj can get it right, then that'll be the defining reason for RCB winning the game.
Sanjay?
I think Wanindu will be a key bowler, Josh Hazelwood, to begin with. So like I mentioned the last time, it's a chaseable target. This is the only venue that we've seen so far in the IPL where a score like this can be chased out. So it's possible, but you've got to think, 200, just a bit too much. It's going to be an excellent chase.
All right. 87% is the win probability for RCB on ESPN Cricinfo, which has pretty much been accurate. But this is different. This is a playoff game. This is KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock and an LSG side that have compromised on a position of Jason Holder essentially to give themselves more batting or more specialist batters. We will pick up the chat with Dan
I
Vettori.
hate to interrupt you, Raunak.
Sanjay, please.
Yes, one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's an important point. I think this will just free up KL Rahul, this kind of a target, and that will be dangerous for Bangalore. Because he won't be thinking of staying there or anchoring. This target was 170, 175.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. This perhaps clears KL Rahul's mind Or will it? Maybe then we'll still see a different KL Rahul. Will be a great chat with Sanjay and Dan at the end of it. Join us then, as one team will stand at the end of this night and the other will go home eliminated. And we will have just 3 teams remaining in the IPL. Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Eco 95G. We'll have you covered. Join us at the end of the game.